Hey there friends, Rebecca here, the Dragon Librarian from Farmington Community Library, and it is still June, we are still in Pride Month, and I've got an author that I really want to talk about that I'm really excited because he has a new book that just recently came out that I read and absolutely loved. Like, it moved me so very much, and I think that his work is absolutely extraordinary. Everything he's written I've loved, and I hope that he is an author that if you haven't heard of him before and you've never explored his works, that after this video you might want to give him a shot because he is amazing. So the author I'm talking about is Douglas Stuart, and his newest book is called John of John. Now, Douglas Stuart is an amazing author. This is his third book, and his newest, like I said, and I just finished it the other day, and it's absolutely incredible. It's an Oprah's Book Club book, so you might have seen it advertised through that outlet as well. And this is the kind of book that you don't want to put down once you start it, but at the same time, it consumes you even when you're not reading it. Like, I finished it a few days ago and I can't stop thinking about it. And part of me is even wondering, do I have time to read it again? Because it's so evocative. So Douglas Stuart writes about Scotland. Particularly, he writes about young queer men in Scotland. So this was his newest book. It is a book about a young man named John. It's John of John. His father is named John too. He was away at school when he graduated, and he is kind of down on his luck. He can't really find work. He doesn't really have a place to live. He's been kind of staying with friends and sort of eking out his survival. But he still doesn't want to go home to Glasgow, where his family is. They live in this little, very isolated seaside town in Scotland, and he is isolated there, and he doesn't want to go back, but his father finally summons him back, and he's like, it's time, come back now. And he's home again. He's living in this tiny little croft home with his father, John, who is he has sheep. He is a weaver, and he's also a minister at a Presbyterian church, and that is a very, very big part of his father's identity. And with them living there as well is John's grandmother, Ella, who constantly butts heads with his father. And so there's this tension running through the house, especially because when John comes back, his father doesn't recognize him, basically. He's got long hair, he's got these wild, ideas, he doesn't seem to want to follow in his father's footsteps, and there is a lot of tension in the house. But also a lot of tension within the community, because while John was away in the city and with other people, there's this tiny, small community that he's from, that once he's back in there, things start to unravel a little bit, because John is gay. He's hiding that from his family, but there's other secrets within the home that start to come out as well. So the thing that Douglas Stuart does really well in all of his writing, and especially in this book, is he writes about a setting that you just cannot help but feel like you are right there in it. I've never been to Scotland. I desperately want to go someday because I think it's just a beautiful, beautiful place from what I've seen and heard of it. But when you are reading this book, at least for me, I felt like I was right there. I felt like I could breathe in the briny scents and feel the grass and the moors and just this damp air all the time, and this sense of isolation that you could choke on in this tiny place. And every time I stopped reading it, I would have to sort of really pull myself out of the story, because I would look up and be like, oh wait, no, I'm not in Scotland. I'm not I'm not this character. The way he writes is so engaging. So this is his newest book. Highly, highly, highly recommend. You may have heard his other books, Shuggie Bain. This is the first one he wrote, and it was, as much as I love all his work, I really think this one is my favorite. About a young queer boy in Scotland who is taking care of his alcoholic mother. Desperately sad but beautiful story, taking place in the 80s. in Scotland, and Young Mungo, about two boys of opposite religious faiths who are supposed to be enemies but end up becoming best friends and then fall in love. Also set in Scotland. And then, you know, his newest one, John of John. I would say if you're going to start with anything, I would highly recommend to start with John of John. I think this is such a brilliant example of his genius writing and how beautiful it is, because even when he's writing about things that are sad or desperately feel like they could be hopeless, there is still a sense of hope in his writing that makes you feel like there is still light in the world. No matter what is going on, there is still light that can be found. And like I said, his descriptions of the places he writes about are just unfathomably beautiful and evocative and poignant, and just make you feel like you were right there living in the story. Absolutely wonderful. Highly, highly recommend. If you haven't heard of him, please pick up Douglas Stuart today. Try John of John. It's his newest book. Absolutely wonderful. Give him a shot. He is amazing and you will not be disappointed. Douglas Stuart. Well, that's what I've got for you guys today. I hope that this author sounds really interesting to you. Maybe you have read him before but didn't know he had a new book out, or maybe this is the first time you're hearing about him. Either way, I highly recommend you give him a shot. His writing is exquisite. You will not be able to stop thinking about it once you've started. Amazing, amazing books. Amazing, amazing writer. Highly recommend. And you can pick all that stuff up at Farmington Community Library if you are interested in any of his works there. Thank you so very much for watching, friends, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.